I am so frustrated because I truly, truly, truly wanted to have an amicable divorce.
You did tell me that.
Like, and things just keep happening that I'm like, I will push back.
Yeah.
You don't get to call my friends the things that you call my friends, and I will push back. I'm probably not the favorite ex anymore. Who is that? TikTok? Somebody on TikTok who just asked. I'm probably not.
And I'm definitely not the favorite ex's best friend.
No. Some things happened recently. You're not going to see it on a future episode. Yeah. Cameras were not rolling. So Salty Birch's TikTok is asking what happened recently. It was a conversation that I'm not proud of, that I'm also not going to share. But it just made me realize that, actually, I'll tell this part of it. It's not part of the conversation. It's just the emotion involved in it, which was I allowed myself to fall back into trauma. No, for my part of the conversation, I'm actually just disappointed in myself, honestly, because I was falling back into trauma responses and how I reacted and allowed a conversation to continue when I should have just been like, you know what? I'm done. We're not talking about this. But yeah, for me, I just was like, you know what? I should have ended the conversation and not engaged in it once I realized what was being attempted. And, you know, I got sucked into it.
Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Meri Brown streamed live on Instagram last night as part of her usual Friday night with friends. And man, spilled the tea on Kody and Robyn. She spilled some information regarding those behind-the-scenes brawls and disputes that, apparently, won't even reach your television. Only days ago, she had a loud argument with Kody, which according to her was a clear-cut situation that would never be possible to maintain a friendly relationship with him. She got dragged into a fight. While she does not explicitly reveal what started the fight, but it is rather probable that the cause of that was Kody talking about her friend Jen on the show. Things like what he keeps saying really tick her off, leaving her furious. She ended up going back and forth with him, and his continued behavior on the show has only made her even more determined to completely distance herself from both Kody and Robyn. In fact, she made it abundantly clear. She is done picking sides, done being on anyone's team, and she will never be part of anyone's team ever again. It is evident that Meri will never go back to Kody. At this time, she does not seem even bothered to talk to either Kody or Robyn. She admitted that the argument was provoked by Kody, that he was deliberately trying to pull her into something. She reacted by going into a trauma response, which, to me, suggests that she's recognizing Kody's behavior as abusive. It sounds like he's using tactics to push her buttons, triggering a reaction from her. Bottom line, Kody is not a safe person for Meri. But honestly, we already knew that, didn't we? She also chatted through some viewer questions during the live. Fans were curious about Kody's recent comments about money, about how he seemed to insinuate the only reason he kept Meri around was because he wanted her for her finances. She acknowledged that she was aware of what he had said, and let's just say, her response is definitely worth hearing. Meri is careful with her words. She's not directly throwing them under the bus, but she is throwing them under the bus at the same time. She says that she needs to get away from people whose actions are not good for her, so to speak. She is talking about the need to be distanced from those who cheat on others and someone who holds a person for the purpose of financial gain. The only thing she admitted to was failing to step away from Kody, as she should have done. She made no clear assertion that their recent argument involved the issue of money, but it is sure that she is very well aware of the fact that Kody has been making comments about using her money. She now realizes being exploited, and the only way out of that is by moving forward with distance from him. It's probably been tough on her to break free from the mindset that she was indoctrinated with, deprogrammed, and then she had to see that somebody she once loved could treat her in that manner. What stands out, though, is that the farther she gets away from Kody, the clearer she appears to be seeing everything. Honestly, a lot of what we've seen over the years felt like gaslighting from the family. Even Meri, at times, would defend him and try to justify his actions. Back then, she wouldn't have admitted it. But now, after a couple of years away from Kody, she's able to say, yes, this was happening. It's a sign that she's actively healing, which is definitely a good thing. That is interesting, because this fits in with something a friend of mine told me about a year and a half ago. He said somebody close to her had explained the estrangement between Meri and her family, why she lived so separately from them, and why she became alienated. For them, she was slowly gliding away from the group of friends whom she surrounded herself with who belonged outside the faith. That gradually translated to questioning and unraveling her very own belief system, further away from what the family believed on polygamy and Mormonism. The more she moved further from those, she looked too worldly for the family. I don't know if you remember, but about a year and a half ago, I made a video explaining that the real reason they were alienating her and calling her unsafe or dangerous was because she had become too worldly. She was spending more time in the real world around friends who didn't share the same beliefs, and that made her a threat. She also differed on LGBTQ+ issues, especially regarding the child, Leon. The family generally did not treat Leon so well. Instead of this, Meri embraced Leon fully. She did not join anything that discriminated against Leon, and had arguments with Kody and Robyn over how they treated Leon and other LGBTQ+ family members. So, when she says she was starting to lose faith in their beliefs, everything makes sense. She was trying to process everything, figure out what it all meant, but at the same time, she was still part of the family. She wasn't just going to walk away. She felt committed to them. But that commitment also came with guilt because her thoughts and feelings were shifting. That's part of why Kody kept saying Meri wasn't safe. He saw her as a threat because she could influence others in the family to adopt a different worldview. And on top of that, they were all contractually tied to a show that was supposed to promote polygamy, so it was an extremely complicated situation. But everything that she is admitting now lines up with what I was told a couple of years ago by a friend of hers. And on top of all that, she also opened up about just how emotionally difficult it was to reach this point. So they might lead you astray. Therefore, with the breakdown of her relationship with Kody, she needed time and space to take her away from that environment. With living in a city like Las Vegas, it exposed her to different cultures, religions, and political opinions which she has never really known about. She grew up in a totally insular community, attending a church-run school where her mother was the principal and her father was the president. She had been so deeply indoctrinated that there wasn't much space for her to question her own thoughts or beliefs. On top of that, being part of a reality show meant they had to keep certain things hidden. As I've said before, many of the women wanted to leave for a long time but felt trapped by guilt, shame, and uncertainty about their beliefs. Now, she's openly saying she no longer believes in it and doesn't want to practice it anymore. But it took her a long time to accept that. Leaving a high control group is never easy. You're not just walking away from your immediate family, but an entire community. And for those who stay, the church's leadership reinforces the idea that anyone who leaves is lost, wicked, and destined for hell. They warn members not to associate with them, claiming they are damaged and could lead others astray. This makes Meri's journey even more meaningful because she's choosing to enter life completely different from all that she once knew. On a date with your husband, seeing him spend thousands of dollars on another wife, and then being told, "I already bought this for Robyn. You can go look at it at her house." That is humiliating. This just confirms what so many people suspected. Kody was blatantly favoring Robyn, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. The imbalance between the wives was undeniable. It also aligns with what a former employee of the gallery, or their spouse, in one case, said, that Kody had to use credit cards to buy the art. These were not original paintings, but super expensive prints with little to no value. Still, he was ready to be in debt to shower Robyn with presents and spend little or nothing on his other wives. That kind of action reflects how such men work, without concern about the pain inflicted. I couldn't help but think of Robyn's metaphor about the apple and the orange, where she was suggesting that they should be content with their own, conveniently forgetting that she was getting all the luxuries and attention. And what makes it worse is that Kody wasn't even subtle about it. He rubbed it in their faces. He made sure they knew exactly what she was getting, while they were left with nothing. And if they want to see it, they could go to her house. That's way not respectful. For Meri, Christine, and Janelle, this must have been really frustrating. It wasn't just about the money. It was about being treated as less important. Over time, that kind of blatant favoritism and emotional neglect can break a person down. And for Meri, it looks like it was one of the many moments that pushed her to finally walk away. Imagine being on a date with your husband, thinking you're going to an art gallery to pick out art for your home, only to find out he's there to make a payment on a piece of art he bought for Robyn, the wife who, in his eyes, is his true priority. That is beyond humiliating. I would lose it if that were me. It reminds me of an episode from My 5 Wives when Brady brought one wife to select a ring for another wife. It's unbelievable that the men involved could show so little shame. Then there's the incident in which Kody freaked out about Meri wanting an alpha, telling her she shouldn't be in control, and saying what he said about Jen. Meri shares how she felt about it, and it is clear how much she is hurt by his saying so. The way he ignored her feelings and treated her, it comes as no surprise that she has had it all. It sounds like Meri finally reached a breaking point after realizing she could no longer stay civil with Kody. She had tried to keep things amicable, but his actions, especially on the show, made it impossible for her to continue pretending everything was fine. His cruelty talking down to her about her dating life, telling her that she would not find the kind of guy she wants, and attacking her personal worth, seems to have been the final straw. It is not even that she called his names or spoke ill of him and Robyn. He was doing the same. She was merely speaking to her own experience, but he used cruelty. Her distress is evident in the emotional response to the situation she finds herself in, crying all night and having a fight with Kody in which she says that their relationship had been terribly strained for years. It hurts that Kody took his relationship with Robyn to use against Meri, almost celebrating it, and made it absolutely clear to her that she is less than. He was not displaying any form of empathy or love. Instead, he was continually harming what little was left in their relationship. That would exhaust anyone. To this point, it seems Meri has finally fully disengaged, unwilling to put up with the abuse and manipulation. It's honestly heartbreaking to see how toxic their dynamic became and how long Meri tried to make it work despite everything. She deserves so much better than the treatment she's been given. It's really frustrating to see how Kody was blatant in favoring Robyn while brushing off Meri's feelings. He seemed to act as if it was no big deal when he asked Meri to over her jealousy and spent ridiculous amounts of money on gifts for Robyn. Such behavior makes people very uncomfortable and resentful because the other party knows there's really nothing special about them. I agree. If those kinds of fights had made it to the show, it would have added a lot of depth and made for some very real, compelling drama. It's great that Meri is finally finding her voice and sharing these things, even if it's after all the pain. A book about her experiences would definitely be worth reading, especially if it dives into the dynamics of her relationships and the manipulation she experienced.